The cafe was loud in the way modern cafes are. Music just soft enough to seem thoughtful, conversations overlapping without touching. My son chose the place. He always does. He likes somewhere efficient. My daughter-in-law smiled across the table at me, careful and kind. She has good manners. Sometimes I mistake good manners for distance, though I try not to. We spoke about ordinary things. His workload, her new project, the price of everything rising except patience. I listened more than I spoke. That has become my role, observer, not participant. When the bill came, my son stood quickly. "We'll get it," he said, already reaching for his wallet. They left together, leaning slightly toward each other as they walked to the counter. I watched them. I always notice the leaning. It reassures me and unsettles me at the same time. That was when she appeared. She wasn't dramatic. No perfume cloud, no urgent expression, just a woman in a neutral coat who placed a small blue box on the table directly in front of me. "You'll need this tonight," she said. Her voice was steady, not threatening, not apologetic. Before I could ask what she meant, she was already moving away, folding into the noise of the room. I stood halfway out of my chair, but she disappeared between two tables as if she had been absorbed by them. The box sat there, mate blue. No label. My first thought was mistake. My second was trap. By the time my son and daughter-in-law returned, I had slipped it into my handbag. I don't know why I hid it, perhaps because I didn't want to look foolish if it was nothing, or paranoid if it was something. Perhaps because the way she said tonight felt specific, as if she knew something about my evening that I did not. The rest of the meal passed politely. I studied their faces without meaning to. Did they glance at my bag? Did they seem tense? They seemed normal. Normal is suspicious when your mind has already shifted. On the drive home, my son talked about refinancing. My daughter-in-law looked out the window more than usual. Or maybe she always does that and I've never noticed. Every small detail felt charged. I disliked myself for it. At home, I placed the bag on the kitchen counter and walked away from it. The box remained unopened for hours. I made tea. I rearranged a drawer. I turned on the television and didn't watch it. The blue of the box seemed brighter each time I passed. Fear is a quiet sculptor. It reshapes memory. I remembered a dinner 6 months ago when they postponed a visit. I remembered how they sometimes share looks I don't understand. I remembered feeling like a guest in my own son's adulthood. By 9 in the evening, the weight of not knowing was heavier than any imagined threat. I opened the box. Inside were folded medical documents. Official, clinical. My daughter-in-law's name printed clearly at the top of each page. Oncology. The word rearranged the room. There was also a handwritten note, brief and deliberate. She wanted to tell you herself. He thinks it's better to wait, but tonight he plans to speak. You deserve time to understand before he does. No signature. My hands trembled, not from fear of harm, but from the shame of where my mind had gone earlier. I had prepared myself for betrayal, manipulation, some hidden financial scheme. Instead, I was holding evidence of something far more fragile. I read every page. Early stage. Treatment options. Prognosis described as favorable with prompt intervention. Clinical words that both comfort and terrify. At 9:37, my doorbell rang. They stood outside together. My son's face had that controlled seriousness I remember from when he had to tell me he'd been in a minor accident years ago. Calm first. Details later. "We need to talk," he said. "We need to talk," he said. We sat at the dining table. The same table where I taught him multiplication. The same table where he once refused to eat vegetables. He took a breath. She held her hands together in her lap. "There's something we found out last week," he began. His voice was steady, but the steadiness cost him something. As he spoke, I felt the strange advantage of already knowing. The sentences did not strike me. They landed softly. I watched them both, not as suspects, but as people bracing for my reaction. When he finished, there was a silence. I could have pretended surprise. I could have asked questions I already knew the answers to. Instead, I stood slowly, went to the kitchen, and returned with the blue box. My son's eyes fixed on it immediately. "What is that?" he asked. I placed it on the table and opened it. The papers were already slightly creased from my earlier reading. "They gave this to me at the cafe," I said. His confusion was unmistakable, not defensive, not angry, just startled. "Who?" he asked. "A woman. She said I would need it tonight." My daughter-in-law's face drained of color. "She works at the clinic," she whispered. "I spoke to someone. I wasn't sure how to tell you. I thought maybe, if you had time to process." My son turned to her. Not furious, not betrayed, just caught between irritation and understanding. "You asked someone to do that?" "I was afraid," she said quietly. Afraid she would react badly. Afraid of making it bigger than it is. There it was, not a conspiracy, not a secret to exclude me, a fear of my fear. The phone rang then, a landline call from the hospital. My son answered. The nurse confirmed tomorrow's appointment time and referenced the treatment plan outlined in the documents. Authority entered the room, not as a person standing between us, but as an undeniable voice from the outside world. Clinical, scheduled, real. No one was manipulating anything. This was happening. When he hung up, the atmosphere had shifted. The secret was no longer private property. It belonged to all of us now. I looked at my daughter-in-law. "You thought I couldn't handle it," I said. She shook her head. "I thought you would panic." I considered that. She wasn't entirely wrong. "I almost did," I admitted, "but for the wrong reasons." My son reached for her hand. "I should have told you sooner," he said to me. "I just wanted to protect her first." Protection is always selective. We sat there a long time without speaking. The blue box remained between us, no longer ominous, just practical. Papers, plans, facts. Suspicion had nearly rewritten my family in my mind. It had made love look like concealment. It had turned ordinary glances into evidence. I am not proud of how quickly I believed something darker was possible. But I am grateful that tonight, when given the choice between holding on to that suspicion and stepping into trust, I chose the latter. There was no celebration, no declarations of unity. Just three adults at a table, adjusting to a new reality. The box stayed open. And for the first time in a long while, I did not feel like an observer.